Hey Stitch Kitties, I'm Brittany with Stitches of Love Quilting, and welcome to the video tutorial for making our adorable Rudolph block, which is block 9 of the Christmas Lane block of the month. So in this tutorial, we are going to talk about specifically the sewing machine applique technique. If you're doing the embroidery machine version, we have a video specifically for that. So what I've done is prepped everything that came in my box. So I have my background fabric ironed. I'm going to go on and set that aside because we don't need it just yet. And then to my left right here on my table, I have my applique pieces laid out in order of how I'm going to build my applique units. So if we take a look at the pattern, you can see that we're going to build applique unit 1 and 2, and then we have some extra pieces that go on the background fabric when we put it on that fabric. But first what we're going to do is mark some accent lines on pieces 2 through 5, 20, and 21. So what I'm going to do is get to my applique placement guide. I'm going to move my little sample aside, and we'll move our reverse applique pieces aside. We don't need that right now. And I'm actually going to move my fusing mat because I don't need that at the moment. I'm just marking some accent lines. So I'm going to turn my light pad on. Now to mark the accent lines on 2, 3, 4, and 5, what that is the line to distinguish. This as 2 legs and 2 feet on 2, 3, 4, and 5. So on piece 2, I'm going to use my Pigma pen, but my Pigma pen's not going to show on the black foot. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So first, I'm just going to mark the accent line. This is a very thin straight line, and that's going to be where we're going to do an accent stitch when we get to actually stitching the project. I'll show you how it looks on the project. And then we'll do the same piece number 4. So now on number 5, all we're going to do, let's take a look at the sample and see if you can, it's really hard to see that black on black stitching, but all we're going to mark is like continue that as a circle, because what we're doing is giving the idea that this leg is behind this leg, even though it's one piece of fabric. So we're going to finish out this circle, and the same on this one, this circle. But like I said, on the black, you're not going to be able to see your Pigma pen line. So I'm actually going to use my Sew Line chalk pencil for pieces 3 and 4. And there's no way to really see through the black. So all you're doing is finishing that little circle yourself. So let me hold that up for you. See, I'm just making that where I know that I'm going to stitch to make that look like one circle, and this to make it look like it was a circle underneath. And now, same thing on piece number 4, and you don't really need to use your placement guide because again, you can't see through the black, you're just finishing off that circle. So again, here's what I did on piece 4, just that line to make it look like this is one circle, rather it's an oval, and then this is gonna look like it's behind it when we stitch it. Now, excuse me, the other piece that we have accent lines are 20 and 21. So 20 is our face, and I'm going to use my Pigma pen here. So I'm going to get this right in place, and we are going to mark the 2 straight lines for the eyeballs. Now I can see through this right here. I don't know if you can see through it on the camera, but you'll be able to see through yours and your light pad. And then the other piece is piece 21. We're going to mark his smile, and we're going to put that in. Now this is not a perfect circle, so you're going to want to turn it until it's fitting, right? So when you put it on your placement guide, it's correct. And so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to trace this circle. So a straight line there. And I like to do my finishing straight line right here. And then I feel like I can connect from the middle. So just real lightly, because we're going to stitch over this in black. And make sure you hold your piece in place. There we go. Now I have my little smile marked on piece 21. Now, as always with this block of the month, we do have some, or with this block, we have some white pieces. So we're going to have 2 of our snow. We're going to have 2 on the accent of our nose. So remember, you're going to have 2 of those in your kit, and we'll double line them by simply ironing them on top of each other when we're making our units. So now let's start doing that. So I have my light pad, my glass mat, my placement guide, and now I'm going to bring my fusing mat back into play. Let's get this in place. I love the fusing mats. So our first applique units are going to be pieces 1 through 15. So a whole bunch of pieces. And I'm going to put my little sample over here to see. So up first, pieces 1. It's double lined. So just put 1 in place. There we go. And our second, oh look, I'm a little off. There we go. And then our second piece will go right on top. There you go. I'm gonna give this just a quick little press. Now we have our left leg, number 2, and our little hoof down here. And there we go. I'm gonna go on and iron these down. Now we'll build our right leg. So cute. So easy to do, right? I love it. I love that it's already cut out. Makes life easy. There we go. And a press. Now we are going to actually build the little tree, and then we're going to build the inside of his body, and this is going to connect into one large unit. But we jump to the tree because it's sitting kind of like behind the front of him, like it's on his back. So our tree trunk, our cute little dotted tree. There we go. And now our star right up top. There we go. And let's give that a quick press where they're overlapping. Now we're going to put piece number 9 down, which is the big body. You can still see through this, but not quite as much. So if you want to kind of play with how your 3 holly leaves go, you certainly can. So we have 1, 2, 3. And now our 3 holly berries. Now with these, you want to be very careful to make sure you have fusible side down, because with little pieces, for some reason, they're always a little trickier. And that's where you can make a mistake and accidentally have your fusible side up and iron it onto your iron, and you don't want that. So there we go. Now I'm going to press those down, and remember, I didn't press where the body overlapped the tree, so I'm going to make sure I press there as well. And so voila, we have our first applique unit done. That was pieces 1 all the way through to 15. Now I'm going to move this aside, and we're going to do 16 through 23. So we're going to start at the antlers, the ears, and then build out his face as one unit. So first up, our little antlers. So we have number 16 and number 17. Now 18, 19, 20. And you just want to feel, make sure you're nice and overlapped. I'm not quite in place. So there we go. Now I'm going to give these a press right up here where they overlap. Now we're going to put 21. Remember, that was one that had the accent line on it as well, just like piece 20. And then make sure I know where my little nose is going to go. Right there. Look how cute he is. A little nose. I'm going to give those a little press. And now we have our final two pieces of this unit, and that is our little accent on our nose. So I'm going to give that a little press. And then our second piece to really make that stand out as white. There we go. Perfection. So now already, in just a matter of a few minutes, we have our applique units done, and we're ready to iron them onto our fabric. So I'm just going to gently pull. There we go. And now our little Rudolph face. Just gently pull it up. Look how cute. And then remember, we have those 3 extra pieces. So now we don't need our fusing mat. The 3 extra pieces, by that I mean, are the 3 pieces we put on loose, if you will. So now, put your background fabric in place. Again, you just want to make sure it's going past that trim line. You have more than enough fabric. So we give you 10 inches and you only need 8. And so what we're going to do first is take our applique unit 1 and we're going to put this right in place. Give this a little adjustment. There we go. And now a good press. Let's see, I need to get him, have him just a little crooked. See that? There we go. Now he's in. So we'll press right down here. And again, this is kind of a quick press because we're going to do the final press on our Steady Betty. Now we're going to put our second applique unit, aka Rudolph's smiling face. Look at that. Beautiful. And press him in place. The main thing here, you just want to make sure that, of course, his head is fully covering on his body. And now we have our 3 quote-unquote loose pieces, our extra applique pieces that didn't become part of a unit. So I'm just going to lay those in place. And then before I pick this up and do a press, I am going to draw or trace that line that connects the moon and the heart so that when I go to stitch, I know where to do that stitch. So with this, I'm going to use my my Micron Pigma pen, and I'm just going to lightly do that one line. There we go. You can, of course, use the Soleil chalk pencil if you want, but to me, because my pencil is pink, I don't think I'd be able to see it quite well enough on that white. So now let's turn our light pad off. Let's give this guy a good pressing on our Steady Betty. And then let's talk about our stitching, because we do have a few little tricks, if you will, in the stitching. So easy peasy. There we go. So that is ironed on. Now let's talk about, bring that back over here. We have our chart as always. It's going to walk you through doing the turquoise. Then you're going to do dark brown along a lot of his body. But then later on, you're actually going to switch to medium tawny tan and do these lighter gingerbread kisses fabrics are going to be stitched in that medium tawny tan. So the bulk of his body is that darker brown, but not all of it. Then you also have your black for your eyes, the hooves, and the smile. The medium dark avocado is your darker green in your kit. It's going to be the tree, and then the accent lines on your holly leaves. We didn't trace those accent lines, but you certainly can do that, or you can just freehand with your sewing machine some fun little curves that follow the line. And then, or the line of the, what's that called? The little ivy, the little holly leaves. So then we have avocado. The light green is going to be on the outside of your leaves. Then you have your true red, you guessed it, Rudolph's nose, the 3 holly berries, your heart. Then you have your silver gray, that's his antlers. Medium tawny tan, we already talked about, that's his ears and around the larger part of his face. Then you have the white, which is the little center accent. And then finally you end with your butterfly gold for your moon and the accent line. Now on the accent line, you can do a thicker stitch, or you can just go back and forth on that same line a couple times with a regular straight stitch. That's up to you how you want to do it. In terms of talking about the size of the stitches, we kept it the same everywhere except a few places. We were able to keep it the same on this tree trunk. Depending on the size stitch you're using, you may need to adjust this to be a little smaller, because what you don't want to have happen here is have those go over and overlap. That would just look not quite as good. So they come really close, but not all the way. So we didn't take that stitch down there. We did take the stitch down, however, when we're going around these holly berries, just by a little bit. We just didn't want them to all come to a point in the center. So we took that down a little bit. And then of course on this white accent line right here, we did take the stitch down quite a bit so that it didn't just completely overlap and create like a zipper effect. So I believe we took it down to a 1.5 bite in. Again, every machine is a little, know the numbers on your machine. You can always test on a little side scrap of fabric and make sure you like the stitch size before you actually do it on your project. And then I think that's it. Yeah, so we kept the size stitching the same everywhere except just our little berries and that accent. And that's it. It was very easy to stitch. I hope that this tutorial gave you just a little extra tidbits and made you feel super confident to work on your little Rudolph. And next month we get to make another cute block. I'm excited. I love this. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out. We're always here to help, and happy stitching.